Welcome to another episode of the A Sports Podcast. My name's Art, here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Alex, huge game on Monday, College Football National Championship final between Ohio State and Alabama. Opening line, well, not opening line, but the line that I have is Alabama 8-point favorites over Ohio State. We saw these two teams play in the semifinals. Ohio State beat up on Clemson pretty bad, while Alabama beat up on Notre Dame. You got any comments on either of those two games before we get started with the preview to this matchup?
You know what? Alabama just destroyed a overmatched Notre Dame.
They were really overmatched.
Yeah, and then Ohio State just, I feel, bulldozed Clemson. I feel like they were able to keep the game close in the first half, but then Ohio State just clearly just pulled away.
They ran away with it.
Yeah, and I think now we could see why Clemson's coach said, was it Clemson's coach that said that Ohio State shouldn't have been in that game?
Yeah.
Because they had some games rescheduled or postponed or canceled because of COVID. So what is your situation on it? Do you think that they should have been in that game?
I think so. I think Ohio State, even though they didn't play as many games, they were clearly one of the top 4 teams.
How did they make it in? Was it the last games, or did they just win enough games to make it in?
Well, they went undefeated. Supposedly the rule was that they couldn't get in to the playoff if they didn't play 6 games.
And why is that?
That's just the rule.
Okay.
You have to play 6 games minimum. And then their last game gets canceled because of COVID concerns.
Right.
From, I believe it was Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. So then they play the Big Ten championship game, and they win. They beat Northwestern. It was somewhat of a close game, but they win, and then the college football committee decides that, you know what, Ohio State deserves to be in the top 4. Like you said, Dabo Swinney had a lot to say about that. He talked a lot of smack, and they ended up getting smacked in the mouth by Ohio State. And we know Alabama. I mean, Alabama was the best program this year, and for the past couple of years, probably for the past decade, it's been all Alabama.
Yeah.
Always in the playoff, always near the championship. They've been so good and so consistent. Nick Saban is he's on a different level when it comes to college football.
Look at the guys that came out of there: Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. Who else was on there?
Kamara came out of Alabama?
I think they did, didn't he?
Let
me look that up.
Look that up.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Well,
he either played for Alabama or
Trent Richardson was on Alabama, and he was a beast in Alabama, but he just didn't have a good NFL career. But just Alabama's just a factory for great players that end up going to the NFL. Let's see. So let's get started with our preview. We're gonna talk about some key players in this matchup, and then we'll give a prediction at the end of it. Did you find that Alvin Kamara stat yet?
I think he started with Alabama, but he might have transferred to Tennessee.
Oh, that's right, Tennessee. Yeah, he did transfer.
But that was because he was a backup to Derrick Henry?
I believe so.
Okay.
Henry, and it was Ingram. Ingram went to Alabama too.
Yeah. I
think Henry was on his own. Because sometimes they have 2 running backs that are usually really good. I mean, I'm drawing a blank right now. You completely threw me off with that question.
All right, moving on.
Sorry, let me just try to center this computer. Let's start with Ohio State, who is the underdog. They were the 4 seed to get into the college football playoff. We'll start with the quarterback. Justin Fields. These stats are a little strange because they only played 7 games total, but 73% completions. That's a ridiculously high number.
Yeah.
no matter how many games you play, 73% is high. He has 21 touchdowns on the season. Against Clemson, he took that big shot by the linebacker. You remember seeing it?
Yeah.
What do you think about that hit? Because I saw a few different opinions on that hit. Did you think it was a good hit, bad hit?
I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit old school. You know what? If you're playing football, I like to see some good hits because I feel like football's been, they've taken a lot of that away. And it has minimalized injuries, but at the same time, we just don't get that same football that we're used to seeing. What's your opinion on it?
I understand.
Did you approve?
You know what? I was okay with the hit until I saw a replay of Ryan Shazier's hit. And it was the exact same hit. And Shazier's not playing football anymore. He's lucky to walk again.
Was it because of that hit?
Because of a hit like that, yes. So if you want to go back and watch it,
I'll actually have to look that one up.
Yeah, look it up. Definitely look it up. Ryan Shazier's hit versus the hit from the linebacker, the Clemson linebacker on Justin Fields. Very similar. Shazier could barely walk now. And, like you said, it has brought down the number of injuries, but there's a reason like these rules are in place. Right. So guys don't end up like that, But yeah, Justin Fields had himself a hell of a game. I think he showed the deep ball, the accuracy against Clemson, and he could run. I don't know how much he's going to be able to run with the, hurt ribs, but he's definitely a mobile quarterback when he needs to be.
Right.
What do you think of Justin Fields against Clemson?
I think he's just, you know what? I asked you about that. I asked you, why isn't he being drafted in front of Trevor Lawrence? But you said it's because he just has more weapons around him.
I feel like it's Ohio State has better receivers, a better running back around them than Trevor Lawrence did. I don't think Trevor Lawrence had as good of help as Ohio State did.
Okay, fair enough.
And speaking of some of those weapons, let's talk about the running back Trey Sermon, 868 yards. Remember, that's only in 7 games, over 100 yards a game.
868 yards in 7 games?
In 7 games.
Jesus. I think there was a game where he had 3. Was it against Clemson or was it against a different team?
Northwestern, I believe he had 250 something. Because he broke.
No, there was a game where he had like 360 something.
No, it wasn't 300 yards.
Let me look that up because I remember reading it.
Trey Sermon. Okay. Trey Sermon, he's averaging 7.5 a carry. Against Clemson, they didn't need him as much as they did in that Northwestern game. In the Northwestern game, he just dominated. It was against Northwestern, so just look up Trey Sermon against Northwestern stats. He's
331 yards.
331 yards?
Yeah, he says Sermon breaks Buckeye record with 331 yards.
Jesus Christ. I didn't think it was that much. That's a ridiculous number. So a lot of those yards came in one game, but still, like he's been crazy good throughout the season. Against Clemson, he wasn't needed as much because Justin Fields really took over that game, but I think against Alabama, he'll definitely be needed. Moving on to wide receiver, their main wide receiver, I hope I'm saying his last name right, Chase Olave, I believe it
could be Olave. Who knows?
Olave. Had a big touchdown catch against Clemson. He's just able to get down the field. He has 42 catches on the year, 7 touchdowns. Like I said, in 7 games. Those are good numbers for a wide receiver. But he's gonna have to beat some of these Alabama secondary because Alabama doesn't give up that many yards. I think they average like 240 passing yards against, something like that.
Yeah, they're a good all around football team.
Yeah, actually,
and they're well coached.
Very well coached. Trey Sermon, going back to Trey Sermon, I think Alabama averages giving up over 100 yards a game on the ground. So maybe Trey Sermon could be a Trey Sermon game, I should say. But Chase Olave is definitely going to be somebody where if Sermon does get going, Olave could be open over the top with the safeties and linebackers sucking in to stop Trey Sermon. I feel like Patrick Surtain, the cornerback for Alabama, he'll probably end up being on Chase Olave and try to slow him down. Moving on to the Alabama quarterback, Mack Jones, 77% completion, a ridiculous number. That is even. I mean, we thought Justin Fields' number was high. 77%. It's crazy. 36 touchdowns. This is in 12 games. What'd you think of Mack Jones in the game against Notre Dame?
I think he was just accurate.
Yeah.
That's just when you have a guy like Devonta Smith to throw to, all you got to do is throw it up for the guy, and he just comes down with it. He finds a way.
Yeah.
And he's a great route runner. He's always open.
Always open.
And he's not just, at first, I didn't know about Devonta Smith. I thought he was a little bit of a undersized wide receiver for the NFL. But the more and more I looked at him, I'm like, man, when he catches the ball, he's able to get yards after the catch. And he knows how to finish runs. So I think that also helps Mack Jones's completion percentage, his yards a game, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, just overall helps him out.
What do you think about Mack Jones?
I think he's been, I'm not going to say a game manager because he plays a lot better than a game manager. But he doesn't have to be overly aggressive. Like you said, he's got, Devonta Smith who he could throw the ball to, and Devonta Smith could just do anything after the catch. We'll talk about Najee Harris, who also is pretty good at catching out of the backfield. Not crazy
and jumping over people.
And jumping over people. Not the crazy stats like Trey Sermon, but 24 touchdowns on the season in 12 games is really good. 6.1 a carry.
Who do you think is the better running back, Trey Sermon or Najee Harris? Because Najee Harris has 24 touchdowns on the season, right? Mm-hmm. And Trey Sermon's got a ridiculous amount of yards in, 8 games, 7 games?
Yeah. I think overall, Najee Harris is the better running back, but I think Sermon plays on a better running team, if that makes any sense.
So they have a better line,
I think so. And Justin Fields is able to open up the field for Trey Sermon with his passing and with his legs. I mean, that.
Were you trying to be funny there? Or?
Yeah, I was trying. No, it didn't work. No. All right, sorry, my joke sucked. But I think Najee Harris is definitely going to be a key in this game. And
he's actually a pretty big running back if you look at him compared to all the other college guys.
Yeah, he's big. And Alabama just always has solid running backs, and you have to be good and to be the number one team in the nation.
Do you think Najee Harris is ever going to run into an issue where he just doesn't have the burst that maybe a guy like Trey Sermon does?
Trey Sermon does have is faster. No, I think because.
Or do you think his athleticism will just carry him?
It's enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's enough. You see guys like Derrick Henry who aren't, super fast, but you see him get in the open field and you're not catching him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. Derrick Henry is not super fast, but I think he got faster from what he used to be.
He's fast enough.
He's been putting in the work.
Yeah.
So maybe Najee Harris can put in some work and he'll be even faster than he already is.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll finish it off with the Heisman Trophy winner, of course, Devonta Smith. 105 catches on the year.
Jesus.
In 12 games.
105 catches.
1,600 yards. 15.6 yards per catch. 20 touchdowns in 12 games.
Is he having a better season than when Justin Jefferson was with Joe Burrow at LSU?
Oh, way better. Justin Jefferson didn't have these crazy stats.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, Devonta Smith is
the real deal.
Yeah, he's ridiculously good. And like you said, like these numbers, usually in college, like you'll see a Heisman candidate with these type of numbers and they won't translate to the NFL. Like you said, you watch him and he's always open.
Right.
It seems like, okay, Mack Jones has to do the right thing and look around and try to go somewhere else.
Goes through his progressions.
Yes. But Devonta Smith is always open. He could just throw it to Smith's way. And 80% of the time, Smith's going to be either open or he's going to make a good catch and he's going to take it to the house just because he's so athletic. And we saw that against Notre Dame where he had, I believe he had 2 touchdowns catching the ball after, running after catching the ball and, not having too much space, but he's able to just make space with his speed.
Right. What else do you think makes Devonta Smith? I don't know who he is and what's going to carry him to the NFL level. Because at first we thought he was a little bit undersized, not as far as height, but more his weight. Do you think that's going to be able to change how he plays in the NFL? Because we do see some guys when they come out of college, they struggle a little bit in the NFL. Do you think that's going to be a problem with Devonta Smith?
I don't think so. No, I think he's athletic. And you know what? I'm going to look up his size because now you have me wondering. When we say undersized,
it's more the weight. It's not his height. I feel like he's a good height and a good length. He knows how to use the field to his advantage.
6'1", 174. He's not the biggest receiver, at 6'1".
174? Man, he's light.
Well, that's what you meant though by undersized.
Yeah.
And at 6'1", he's not the biggest receiver, but he can still get up there and make the plays when need be. But yeah, I think he's more of a route runner, possession receiver, who will get open, will catch the ball, and will try to make his money after the catch.
Do you think he's gonna come out in this game to make a statement?
Oh, he's gonna be a huge key, and it's gonna be interesting to see how Ohio State slows him down.
Ohio State in that Clemson game, in the first half, their defense looked a little shaky. It looked like Clemson was able to hang in there, but then in that second half, it was lights out for Ohio.
Well, to be in the college football final, it can't be all offense. Your defense has to make some stops. Your defense has to
help out the offense.
Yes, help you out. And it doesn't have to be like a stop on every play. If your team's gonna put up 30 points, well, all you have to do is keep your opponent to 21, which is like, okay, give up 3 touchdowns, maybe 4. But you give your defense some wiggle room. And, Justin Fields last week, was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago when they played Clemson, Clemson just never stopped them, it seemed.
Right.
It seemed like Ohio State just scored whenever they wanted to. I don't think that's going to happen in this game. I think Alabama's going to,
I think they're a lot better coached. I feel like their defense is way better than Clemson's.
Yeah, they'll be able to slow them down, get their stops, and give their offense a chance to score, which makes this game so intriguing because I think Ohio State's defense is very underrated also.
So, all in all, this is the $1 million question everybody wants to know. Who are you taking in this game?
I'm taking Ohio State straight up. I'm not even taking the spread. I'm taking them straight up to win.
You're taking Ohio State to pull off the upset against Alabama.
Mm-hmm. I think they're like plus 300 right now or something like that, 325. So I'm gonna take Ohio State to win.
I will not.
Up.
I will be taking Alabama. I think Alabama's gonna be. I feel like they're gonna edge it out. It should be a close game though.
Okay. Any last thoughts on this game?
Not really. I think we covered most of it. Do you have any last?
No, I'm just looking forward to a great game. I'm gonna be working, so I won't watch it live, but I'll have it recorded. And as soon as I get home, I'm popping it on and watching it.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching this episode of the AA Sports Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace out, guys.